let me just, without sharing a lot of things on the presentation, let me just quickly ask one question to all the audience, and I expect some answers coming up in the chat, right? I want this to be a very engaging session. How many of you have actually taken a medical test ever? Any kind of a medical test? Thank you. So most of you have taken a medical test, right? So what happens is that sometimes you feel that, there's some kind of a pain in the body, or you are not feeling well, and you visit a doctor, and doctor suggests that go and get a medical test done of anything, right? Now, when you get your medical test done, you see a report which has lot of numbers, right? And a few of the numbers would be marked, say, in red, which would say that maybe your calcium is low, maybe your vitamin B, D3 is low, maybe your carbohydrates are very high, maybe your BP is high, things like that, right? Now, when you see all these numbers, you will again visit a doctor. What do you think? What will doctor say? Most probably the doctor will see the numbers and he'll give you some advice, some action to be taken, right? He'll suggest you that go out for a walk or do some exercise, or, stop eating this outside food, or control the diet, or develop some good habits and things like that, right? So now these all are suggestions that the doctor has given you. But finally, it's you who has to take an action, right? You have to change your routine. You have to change those things. You have to change the intake of sweets or sugar. You have to change, start going to the gym or some kind of exercise, walking, running, sports, whatever, right? Basically, you have to sweat out. So that is what the action is all about. Very, very similarly, even in business, you can see thousands and thousands of numbers every day. And after showing those numbers to the senior management, many a time these numbers just become a good to know, right? So just like, okay, my sugar is high, it's good to know. What should I do? That is what I need to understand, right? Sugar, if I'm अगर थोड़ी तबीयत खराब है तो पता तो है ही कि बीपी बढ़ा हुआ है, या मेरे को पहले से अगर कोई डिजीज थी तो आई नो दिस, राइट? तो पता तो अब भी चल गया. बिजनेस में भी वही होता है कि पता तो चल गया कि हाँ यार सेल्स नहीं आ रही, बट करना क्या है, क्यों नहीं आ रही, क्यों नहीं आ रही, that is the first thing to understand, right? So to get into that actionable insights, this is a very, very later stage of any data project, right? And to reach that position, of course, you need to have a lot of exposure and understanding of many things. And next few slides, I'll talk about what all do you already need to understand first, right? So it's not that you join some company as a data analytics guy and on day one only you will start giving some business actions. Usually that's what we do, right? So for example, in Ferns and Petals, when someone joins our organization or in my team, in first week only they start, they go through the website, they go through the, they probably order also, and then they see a few things, and then they suddenly come to a conclusion. Sir, हम ये क्यों नहीं कर सकते, हम वो क्यों नहीं कर सकते, हमें ऐसा करना चाहिए, हमें भी 10 मिनट में डिलीवरी करनी चाहिए, हम फ्लावर्स पहले से क्यों नहीं बना के रख सकते, हम केक्स पहले से क्यों नहीं बना के सकते. Like this we do, because we are not even aware what the business is all into. So just assume that you are joining Zomato और suddenly पहले दिन जाके आप कह रहे हो अरे यार हम खाना पहले से क्यों नहीं बना के रख सकते. ऐसा हो ना, बस ऑर्डर आए और साथ के साथ डिलीवरी बॉय निकलते रहे. ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो सकता कि डिलीवरी बॉय वहीं खड़े रहे रेस्टोरेंट के बाहर. यार ऑपरेशनली इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल, because what you are saying is, let's assume there are 1 lakh restaurants in India. At least then per restaurant, if 3 riders have to be here, so at least 3 lakh riders आपके पास on duty हमेशा होने चाहिए. And what if this rider is out for delivery? फिर वहाँ 3 लोग नहीं खड़े हैं. So many times we don't even have the complete picture and we keep on suggesting. So that's something I don't encourage, at least on day one. First 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, be in the system, try to understand the system, try to understand the challenges, the cost, the implication, and I'll go through that in detail. And then just start suggesting what action has to be taken. So what are the 2-3 things which are, very much needed before you share any kind of insights and then propose what action to be taken? So the first thing that would be needed is basically you need to have a very, very good business understanding. What it means by the business understanding, you basically need to understand what is your business model, right? How does the business earn money? Is it some kind of advertisements, or is it a typical e-commerce company? Is it paid? Is it postpaid? Is it a commission that you are earning? What kind of a commission structure is it? So everything about because every business is different, right? There are, of course, retail companies who say that, okay, I'm selling product and I'm getting some profit on that. That's a business model. There are affiliate companies who say that, okay, I'm just promoting and I'm just selling products on Amazon, but I just get a commission in between. So that is their model. So first of all, you need to understand the different uh, streams or models in which a company can earn a business. Second is you need to have a very good understanding about the customers. Many a times we as a human being, we start judging the business from day one, and without getting into what is it that the customer needs or what is it the problem that we are solving, right? We start getting into, "Okay, this should be the solution, that should be the solution," right? So let's take a very good example here. Um, why is Myntra so famous, right? Because Myntra basically wanted that all these branded or semi-branded products should be very reasonably available to the people, right? And that is why they are ready to take a hit on the returns as well. So very rough numbers, if I can guesstimate, I think around 20 to 25% of their orders go back. You ask for a return, right? You order 10 shirts and then you keep two and you return 8 of them and you get the money back, right? So this is how Mantra, and that is definitely a cost to Mantra because every time he's delivering and then he's sending someone to pick up the order. Now, if you join Mantra and you say that, you know what, let's do one thing, this is the revenue loss, and let's pause the refund or return policies. Will that have an impact on the business? Definitely, that will have an impact on the business. So, should you propose all these things? Maybe not on day one, but after doing a complete calculation about the business model, that's how you should propose it, right? You need to have a very good understanding what is the kind of profits that the company is making. Is the company already profitable or it's in losses? Now, the things that you're suggesting, would it increase the losses? Would it reduce the profit, or what would it increase the profit? So creating a business plan is always very simple. It's all about opening an Excel and then, estimating that, okay, if we do this, there will be 10% growth, there will be 20% growth, and you put all those fancy numbers. And that's how most of the startups, they get a funding also, because they really create some good looking business propositions and they get a funding. But is that easy to get money out of the pocket of the customers? Answer is no, right? And that's when most of the news that we hear, that even these big brands, big startups, they are mostly loss making, right? You need to understand what kind of margins does the company earn in each of the domains or the products, because margin also varies from product to product or category to category. For example, on Amazon, it might not be necessary that Amazon would be earning, let's assume 30% on electronics, but only 5% on clothing and maybe 10% on household items. So it will vary. So then you need to think about that, okay, how I can promote the categories where the profit margin is pretty high. We have already talked about the revenue streams. So even within the business, there are different revenue streams. For example, in our business, it's not only that we earn the profit on selling the products. There's some money that we earn through giving us special um, delivery options. For example, if you need some delivery in 2 hours, we ask for some special pricing. That's a revenue stream. Or we charge convenience charges, right? That's also a revenue stream, right? Not giving discounts in itself sometimes becomes a revenue stream. So you need to understand, okay, what are the various ways in which we are earning money. And then you need to have a very good understanding about what are 2 or 3 key business problems that you are solving, your business is solving, right? So let's assume you are into car deco, right? Now the business problem that they are solving is they are trying to get into the second hand car business, right? They are saying that, okay, if you have a lower budgets, you want to buy a second hand car in the open market, no one gives you that guarantee. You are not even sure whether this car is there an accidental case or is it in a good condition. You will just take some mechanic with you, you will check something and he'll say everything is fine, you will buy the car, and probably 1-2 months later you will realize that the AC was not working, or the tires need a recycling, or there is some bigger problem in the engine, and then that involves some additional cost, right? So therefore Car Deco said that, okay, we are getting into the second hand car business, And we are more or less giving you an assurity that at least for the next 12 months or whatever time period, there's an assurance that in case there's any challenge in the car, we are ready to fix it or whatever. There could be some policies around this. Now, even if they grow very, very, very significantly, they need to understand that this is my business proposition. This is the problem that I'm solving. So tomorrow it shouldn't happen that they reduce their margins to increase the sales, but then they say that, okay, I'm not giving you that assurance, because finally the business was started with giving that kind of a assurance in mind. So your basic problem that you're solving, you should always remember what is it that you're catering to the market. And that basically becomes your positioning. How many of you are aware of this word called positioning? Yes, no, maybe. It's fine if you don't know it. It's a typical MBA word. Okay, positioning basically means how the customers treat your brand. What comes to your mind when I say Maruti? What comes to your mind? Maruti Suzuki, you've heard about the Maruti cars? Do you think it's a economical cars? Good mileage? So that is actually the positioning. What comes to your mind when I say American Express? It's a premium card, right? Very few people will own that. So that is what the positioning is all about. What comes to your mind when I say Blinkit? 10 minutes delivery? Yes, no, am I right? Am I wrong? Right. So this is what becomes the positioning. So how you want your brand to be remembered by the customers. ठीक है ना? आज कोई कहता है कि यार एक काम करते हैं, खाना खाने चलते हैं. So ठीक है, Zomato करते हैं ना. Hey, I want to search something. Let's Google. So that is what the positioning is all about. People are connecting a search to Google, right? So that is what the positioning is all about. And then, of course, you also need to have a very good understanding of what kind of a sales are you getting from different markets, because especially when your business is in India, India in itself is a multicultural country, and you just cannot have the same strategy across north, south, east, and west, and even central India. And it's a very big challenge many a times, because you need to have a different policies for different people who are like, residing in different states. So before getting into data analytics or giving some kind of a business insights, you need to be very clear which market am I catering to, right? For example, let's assume you are a very premium brand, say maybe a Rolex, right? Now you say that, the sales are not happening. Let me start giving 2% discount. So do you think people who are buying a Rolex watch would actually get excited with a 2% discount? Most probably the answer is no, right? So therefore, your suggestions, your understanding about your consumers, those things should come into picture that, okay, what exactly is my consumer needing? And the last one is who is who. So within your organization, you need to be very clear that you know who is my head of marketing, who is head of operations, who is head of product, who is head of branding, who's taking care of the operations. Because once you get into data analytics, once you try to get into any kind of analysis around the things, you need to be very sure whom should I talk or clarify my doubts for. Because once you get into analysis, it's not that you're doing some project for, say, operations team and everything will revolve around operations. A lot of things might come up related to supply chain also. A lot of things might come to your mind as what is product all about. So you need to connect those dots. That is what is expected from a business analyst. Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Is it more theoretical? Is it more practical? All right, moving on. So this is all about the business. So as soon as you join any company as a business analyst, make sure that you are continuously knowing about each and every domain of your business, right? And ask questions. Many times companies don't train about this, but you need to ask questions. So remember who is who, keep visiting that person over the tea breaks, coffee breaks, try to understand what kind of challenges are they facing and things like that. The second thing that you need to do is you need to have a good understanding of the data, right? Because there are multiple data items which are being stored every day. Every person, you, me, everyone sitting in this call, everyone, the 7.2 billion people on this earth, they all are a data point. Every click that we do on an app or a website, that's a data point. Every ball that is being bowled in an IPL or in any other cricket match is a data point. Every transaction that we do is a data point. So, and everything is being stored, right? So we need to understand what this data is all about. So you need to have a very good understanding about the databases, because every company has multiple databases. There would be one where only the customer data is being stored. There's another where only the your store level data is being stored. The third is where the inventory level data is being stored. The fourth data will have all the transactional data. The fifth will have all the refund data. So you need to have a very good understanding about what data is stored in which database and how can that be consumed. Then you need to have a very good understanding about, I'm not saying all the data variables, but at least the major ones. So I was talking to someone and he said that, when a cricket ball in a cricket match, a ball is being bowled, there are around 85 variables which are being tracked, right? And I was super surprised to hear. I said 85, I could only think of 10 or 12, right? So then he said that yes, basically for any day-to-day analysis, maybe max to max 20 variables are mainly used, but the rest 65 are still being tracked. For example, the fielding position, not much analysis is done on the fielding position, but maybe that data is also stored, right? So these kind of things are being stored so that once you get into maybe a project like machine learning or AI, where you need a lot of deep data, that's when these things just become very handy. So you might not need to know all the 85 variables, but the 20 most important, yes, you need to be very aware of that. What is revenue? What does this include? Where is the cancellations? What kind of a cancellations are? Is it a customer driven cancellation or a retail store driven cancellation or a delivery partner cancellation? So like this, you need to have a very good understanding of every variable. Then you need to know that what all is being tracked or what all is being overwritten. So let me give you an example. What happens is, let's assume the customer places an order and he said that, I need this delivery. So let's assume he came on Ferns and Petals and he said, I need this delivery at 10 to 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, right? So the data will be stored as 10 to 11 is the delivery time. Now later at night, day before, the customer called and he said, hey, I'm sorry, I don't need it at between 10 to 11 because I just realized that my parents are not even at home at that time. Can you deliver it at between 11 to 12? So we will change it. We will say, okay, we will deliver between 11 to 12. Now, many a times what companies do is they overwrite a field, right? Now, if someone asks me that how many times a customer is asking to change the time, maybe I don't even have the answer because I have not recorded the previous time track. So therefore, you need to be very curious about what is being tracked or which table is at least storing it. And the database that you are hitting, does this have a overwritten time slot or the previous time slot? Right. So your understanding of those kind of things has to be there. What is the business definition? Sales in itself is a very conflicting word, I must say, because many companies, they track sales on, say, order date, or there is a delivery date, or the deliver date, right? And then should we include cancellations? Should we not include cancellations? Then should it be only India revenue or should it be outside India revenue also? So like this, there are various definitions that are there within an organization. So you need to make sure that, okay, what definition should I stick to? And then you analyze the trends based on that definition only. Similarly, your understanding of the business domains. So what are the metrics that are most key, say, in the operations, and they are very different from what marketing looks into, and that's very different from what a clickstream or a web analytics guys look into. So therefore, you need to have a good understanding of each and every business domain, and then the relevant KRAs or KPIs of that particular team also. And last but not least, you need to have a good understanding of how each and every variable that you're checking or every data point that you're checking can impact a business. Sometimes it becomes very important or, very common sense that, hey, let's do one thing. Let's give a pop-up as soon as someone opens my website that, what, this sale is going on and there's a 30% sale or, big day sale coming up. But you don't realize that already there were 2 pop-ups which were coming on your website, and now this is the 3rd one. So people are not getting attracted to the pop-ups. They are actually closing all the pop-ups, and then not even your the suggestion that you have done doesn't even make sense, right? So therefore, you need to have a good understanding about the impact that each and every data will bring in. Now let's talk about the getting into the right problem. You know, it's a very well known issue that many a times, even in a business, we don't even try to find the right problem and we want to come into the solution, right? For example, uh, even in the general life, what we see is see someone who is very fat, और हम उसको कहते हैं यार तू खाना खाना बंद कर दे, without even knowing why is he fat. He might be fat because he's already not eating the right food. और उसके बाद हम कह रहे हैं कि stop eating the food. वो तो मतलब it's actually going into a different direction. So same things happens in the business. You know, when the sales are down, people say how I can save myself and they start blaming each other. तो वो क्या करते हैं कि अरे यार मार्केटिंग वाले ने प्रमोशन नहीं ठीक किया, पर मार्केटिंग वाला कहता है यू नो तो प्रोडक्ट्स जो मार्केट में है वो प्रोडक्ट्स ठीक नहीं जा रहे, प्रोडक्ट्स वाला कहता है अरे ऑपरेशंस वाले ने लास्ट टाइम ऑर्डर ही डिलीवर नहीं किया था टाइम से, तो इसलिए लोग दोबारा ऑर्डर नहीं करते. लाइक दिस दे स्टार्ट ब्लेमिंग ईच अदर and without even getting into the crux of that why the problems were. Maybe the reason of sale not coming is कि कुछ वेबसाइट पे प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, तो उस प्रॉब्लम को तो किसी ने देखा ही नहीं और सारे एक दूसरे की ब्लेम गेम पे शुरू हो गए एंड दे स्टार्टेड फाइंडिंग अ सॉल्यूशन अराउंड दोस थिंग्स. So it becomes very, very important to go into the root cause of the problem. Let me just tell you another instance. What will you do if you are hungry and you don't know cooking, right? You will order food, right? But many times what we do is we order from, say, the raw material from Blinkit. तो रॉ मटेरियल तो आ गया लेकिन कुकिंग तो आती नहीं थी, तो खान मतलब प्रॉब्लम तो वही है, हंग्री तो आप अभी भी हो. सो दिस इज अ वेरी सिमिलर एनालॉजी कि लेट्स गेट इनटू द रूट कॉज ऑफ व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज बीइंग नीडेड. सो if you have identified the right problem, right, that means half of the problem is actually solved, क्योंकि अब आपको पता है कि I just need to find a solution to this problem. And second is always track your data consistently. There has to be some daily reports, weekly reports, monthly reports, and you need to look at those numbers every day, because the more you will look into the numbers, someday or the another you will just become conscious that some decision has to be taken. So I mean, again, coming back to the health problems, so let's assume you want to be fit, right? अब आपको एक दिन सडनली 1 Jan को रियलाइज हुआ कि नहीं यार बस कल से जिम जाना है, बॉडी बनानी है, ये करना है, वो करना है, हेल्दी होना है, तो 3-4 दिन गए एंड देन यू हैव लेफ्ट इट. फिर 1 Feb आया, बस यार आज कल से जिम जाऊंगा, फिर करूंगा, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, 2-3 दिन गए और रह गया. What is happening is you are not even tracking anything and you don't even know what is the right problem. So let's assume you start tracking your weight every day और आपने realize किया कि you are already, let's assume 100 plus, तो मैं 102, 103, 104, जब आप 7-8 दिन continuously देखते हो ना कि यार weight तो अभी भी और बढ़ रहा है, then you become conscious कि नहीं यार अब तो gym जाना is actually very, very critical. And then sometimes the problem is it's not about going to a gym. ठीक है यार, जिम जाना अच्छा ही नहीं लगता, तो let me do one thing, let me get into say cycling, or let me get into swimming, or let me get into running, whatever you like, right? So now another one problem is your health. Another problem is you don't feel like going to a gym because it's very far away, and every time you realize that challenge that you see is कि यार स्कूटर लेके, साइकिल लेके, बाइक लेके, कार लेके मेरे को वहां जाना पड़ता है, फिर वहां parking problems हैं, फिर थोड़े expensive हैं and things like that. So it's fine, let me find a different way out, maybe a different gym, maybe a gym within my society, or maybe let me get into running. So identify the right problem and try to find a solution to that. The fourth thing that you need to do is you need to be very, very curious. I always try to find this one quality in the candidates that I interview, that how curious that person is in breaking the problem, in getting into the root cause of the problem, in and his anxiousness should look on his face कि यार मैं अभी तक I am unable to answer this, there has to be some other way out. So there's always a 5 why policy in a data analytics. For example, the sales are down. Why? Because okay, we saw the data and the visits were down yesterday. Great. Why were visits down yesterday? Why were visits and why would visits be down? Okay, let me track the data and see from which all sources the the people are coming, and you realize that, okay, the paid visits were less. Then you realize, okay, why were the paid visits less yesterday? Paid visits were less yesterday because marketing spent lesser money yesterday. Okay. Why did marketing spend lesser budgets yesterday? Marketing spend, then you come curious, you talk to the CMO, and he gives that, the company has actually limited my budgets. Okay, why has company limit? What was the reason that a company has taken this call to limit the budgets? You try to get into that question. And that's when you realize that company has actually get into limited budgets because the sales were not happening earlier. So now there's a complete circle that is there, right? So you need to get into that kind of a mode and get curious about that. Okay, the problem was we are not spending money. We are not spending money. We are not getting visits. We are not getting visits, and we are not getting orders. And because we are not getting orders, we are still not spending money. And now you need to talk to your management and come to a conclusion that, okay, let's do one thing. For the next 1 week, let's put in some kind of a money, additional money out of which was kept aside, and let's see if by putting in money are we getting more sales or not. Because if that is the problem, then that should get solved. But if that is not the problem, then we will try to find any other thing. So like this, you have to do a lot of experiments, break the problem. The thing that I just told you, this is how we break the problem. That let's get into the root cause of that and see where exactly the challenge is, right? Then we do a lot of RCA. What exactly is the RCA? RCA is the root cause analysis. So the example that I just gave you, that is the root cause analysis. The root cause is कि management ने ही पैसा कम दे रखा है promote करने के लिए, ठीक है? और वो इसलिए दिया हुआ था क्योंकि sale नहीं आ रही थी. So this is how you try to get into the root of the problem, and then you have to sit with the right stakeholders and then create a lot of hypotheses, right? Okay, kya kar sakte hain? Investing more money is one thing. Moving into, say, the free version of branding like blogs or social media could be yet another thing if the company has limited budgets. Third thing is, instead of uh, spending money on Google paid services, let us do some kind of a 1+1 thing on the website. So that, or we say that, okay, if the average ticket size on my platform is, say, 1,000 rupees, you spend 1,500 rupees and the shipping is free. So that at least now from the same order, you are getting more money. So the revenue will start increasing. So this is how you will create a lot of hypotheses. Of course, you need to sit with different stakeholders, because everyone needs to give a yes before you get into these kind of implementations. So let me talk about a true incident, what happened around 5-6 years ago, right? I was working as a head of a product analytics in a company. My boss, who was the CTO, he sent me a message saying that, Rajat, the conversion rate is down from the last 7-8 days. Can you please deep dive? I said, sure, that's my work. So I looked into a lot of data. I looked into device wise, channel wise, what kind of landing pages are people coming into, what is it that they are buying, what are the different categories, subcategories, all the data that I did. And I sent a long, lengthy email to my CTO, writing that the sale was down because of the mobile phone. The sale was down because of the paid campaigns. The sale was down because there are less buy leads than sell leads, things like that. So I wrote a long email to him. After sending the email, I thought it's end of the day. It was around 6 p.m. So my guy has to bahut kam kar liya. Let me go home. And at around 6:15, he just called me and he said, just come to my cabin. And then he did something which was really very, very shocking. He stood up from his seat and he asked me, Rajat, please sit here on his seat. And I was like, sir, how can I sit on your seat, right? You're a CTO. I'm like 2-3 levels down than you. Why should I sit here? He said, no, I want you to sit here. After a lot of hesitation, I finally sat on that seat. And then he told me something that, Rajat, I am not only looking into analytics. I'm looking into many more things. I'm looking into the business side. I'm looking into the technology. I'm looking into the marketing side also, because I'm working more or less like one level down to the CEO, or I'm the CEO already of this particular business. Now I don't have time to read all these long, lengthy emails that you have sent me, right? And then he said that, Rajat, okay, do one thing, just read your email that you have written. So I read, I said, I think, sir, I have written very good email. So he said, have you actually given me any action item to do? You are just writing कि यहाँ से कम है, वहां से कम है, तुम्हें ये तो बताया ही नहीं कि क्यों कम है. So this is not the analysis. ये तो आपने information दी है. So that day I realized that it's very, very critical. And he actually told me that, Rajat, I made you to sit on my seat because I want you to think like a CEO. अगर आप इस कंपनी के CEO होते और आपको दिखता कि conversion rate कम है, what is it that you would have done? Guys, I'm telling you that day has changed my life. I didn't feel like going home. For next 2 hours, I stayed in the office and actually I thought like कि हाँ यार ये मेरी कंपनी है. अगर मेरा पैसा लगा होता, अगर ये सभी लोग मेरे को रिपोर्ट कर रहे होते तो क्या होता. And I went into the root cause of the problem. At around 8 p.m. I called my boss. I said, sir, ये दो चीजें दिखी हैं, ये मेरे hypothesis है. And then, of course, I was not having a lot of information about how product or technology worked. So he confirmed me कि yes, Rajat, I think now that you're giving this hypothesis, I can connect it with, क्योंकि कल 2 releases गई थी, हो सकता है उसमें कुछ फटा हो. And then he talked to the right person in the engineering team and the product development side, and they realized कि ठीक है, जो भी हमने रिलीजेस किए थे उसके कारण कुछ वेबसाइट में चैलेंज आ रहा था और इसलिए सेल गिर रही. So this is one lesson that I always tell everyone in my team as soon as they join also, that you need to think like a CEO. Don't think you are just a business analyst. Don't think you are just a data analyst. You need to be a CEO from day one कि नहीं यार, मुझे इस बिजनेस के प्रॉब्लम की रूट तक जाना है. ठीक है ना. वो कहते हैं ना कि जब किसी और के घर आग लगी होती है तो आप दूर से खड़े हो सिर्फ देख रहे होते हो या ज्यादा से ज्यादा पानी ला रहे होते हो आग में डालने के लिए. लेकिन जिस दिन वो आपका अपना घर होता है ना, आग लगी होती है, तो आप हर वो चीज करते हो आग बुझाने के लिए जो आपको करनी चाहिए. सिमिलरली जब आपके बिजनेस में लॉस चल रहा होता है या कन्वर्जन नीचे गिरा होता है ना, देन यू एक्चुअली वांट टू गेट इनटू कि यार मैं वो एक चीज फटाफट क्या ठीक करूं कि मेरा एटलीस्ट लॉस तो थोड़ा कम हो. एंड दैट इज व्हाई कंपनीज आर हायरिंग बिजनेस एनालिस्ट. Got some lesson from the story? Sure, Kevin, I'll talk in English. So that's what you need to do. You need to work as if you are a business owner. Right now that I have reached the senior leadership position, so one thing that I hear repeatedly in my organization is our CEOs or the owner of our company, he says that whatever product you are paying or whatever uh, you know product you are buying or the check that you are signing or making any investment in the company, just think that you're doing it from your own salary. And he said the day you will have that thought, you might not even sign that check because you want to save a lot of money, right? So and that's exactly how we now work, all the senior leaders. We think that, okay, is this investment even needed in the company or not? And then only we'll invest in that kind of a thing. Right. The third thing is we own the problems. So first thing first, very rarely it happens that, my seniors, they call me and tell me that, this Rajat, the sale is down, we need to get into the root cause. Most likely it's like proactive, where I drop a message saying that, hey guys, the sales is down from the last 2-3 days or last 2-3 hours even, and I'm getting into the root cause of that. So that this at least gives them a trigger that someone is looking into this. So I own that problem, and then I get into the root cause of the complete process that I said that, okay, is it that we have paused the campaigns? Is it that we are flowing in the right money, or is there some operational challenge? Or, sometimes what happens is we are sitting in Delhi NCR, but suddenly we realize that, okay, in say Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad, let's say there's a very heavy rainfall, and that's why we won't be able to deliver the products. So what we do is the operations guy will call someone and he says that, okay, please close these cities because we won't be able to deliver. So therefore the Mumbai and Hyderabad and Bangalore, which is like the bigger cities for us, they are actually paused, and I am not even aware, but I'm doing that deep dive analysis. So now what I need to do is I need to exclude that kind of traffic and then see, is everything else okay? I mean, of course, we understand that here the maybe business is impacted, but is everything else okay? Is Delhi NCR, the north, Is that fine? And that's how we, get into the problem solving things that, okay, at least the rest of India is okay. The sale is down because of these two, three cities, which is intentionally being paused because of heavy rainfall there. Then, as I said earlier, a lot of networking within the organization itself. So you need to know who is who. You need to talk about what is the new things that they are doing. What are some key projects that every team is working into, because then also you can connect the dots. As I said, if I'm not even aware of that those three cities were closed, I'll continue doing some analysis. And maybe my hypothesis is not even at the city level. So I'll keep on looking into my paid channels, non-paid channels, device-wise things. And I'm spending a lot of time and energy into wrong things without even realizing that the city is were closed. So had I had a very good network with the people, then they would have already messaged me and saying that, Rajat, okay, these three cities are already paused for non-delivery. And staying updated with a common platform. One of the biggest gaps that I see in most of the organization these days is the lack of communication. Luckily, we have come into a stage where we say that there are so many communication channels. We have WhatsApp, we have Slack, we have emails, we have calling, but still there is a lot of miscommunication that happens because not all the stakeholders are in the common platform. So therefore, as a one of the best practices that we do within our organization is we have a leaders group. And any such thing. So let's assume it's raining very hard in Bangalore and Bangalore is paused. That story will come in that WhatsApp group. And as a leaders, it becomes very mandatory for us to read each and everything because, of course, we all need to be updated. It will have some kind of impact on the business, and we try to evaluate that. So let me just talk about, last March or April, one of the problems that was given to us at Ferns and Petals was that, plants as a category. So we have many categories that we deal in. We are into cakes, we are into flowers, we are into plants, we are into combos, we are into gift hampers, we are into personalized gifts, and many more things. So plants was one category where we saw year and year degrowth. Right now, that was the question that came to me that, Rajat, Q4 of last financial year, where we were growing very, very significantly in cakes and flowers and personalized and every other thing, but we are degrowing and with a very huge number in the plants as a category. Now, please evaluate and let us know that why is this happening and since when is this happening? So business problem was very clear. Many times what happens is, so this is one way of highlighting a business problem. The another way is people will come back and say that, okay, can you give me a data of last 12 months ka sale by plants ke har ek product ID ka? And you are like, okay, why do you need it? Nahi, bas aap de do, hum khud apne aap dekh lenge. Right? This is how the people will come to you. They'll just ask for a data. Therefore, it becomes very critical to get into the root cause that what exactly are you trying to do? Okay, you're trying to find why this is degrowth, right? And then what we did is, so I divided this problem into two things, the internal factors and external factors. Because when I saw that every other category is growing, but this category is not growing, then out of course, out of experience, I got a hint that there could be something related to external factors also. So what I did was I also tried to get into the data of what kind of a search trends are we getting from Google. And once we evaluated that thing, so the first thing that I found was that actually Google also said that last year, Jan, Feb, March, the searches for plants, indoor plants, sale of plants, those kind of keywords was actually much lesser compared to the quarter four of say 2021, right? And so I asked for that data and I saw that there were two spikes in the plants ka search trends. The first spike came when there was COVID wave 1, which started from March 20 and that ended till August, September 20. Right? And the second spike in search trends came in April 21 and that ended till mid-July. And this is exactly the time when there was COVID and, there was a complete lockdown. So people were sitting at home, they had their offices at home and they ordered for indoor plants and there was so many news, so many things happening that there should be greenery, you should inhale oxygen and things like that. So people were searching for indoor plants, and therefore when they were searching, they were finding ferns and petals and they were ordering. So that thing was happening. So that was the one reason why the sale was down. But now, surprisingly, the story would have ended up here. They would have said that, sir, Google is saying that search trends have dropped, therefore our sales have dropped. So story ended. But of course, there's a different way of looking into the data. Google was saying that searches have gone down by 5%. We were degrowing at 25%. Now, had it been 5% and 8%, the things are still okay. But 5% and 25%, that means there's something additionally which is wrong. So therefore, I said that, okay, if I do some analysis and if my quarter on quarter growth comes down to say minus 10% also, I'll be okay with it. But minus 25% means definitely we are doing something wrong on our platforms. So that's when we get into a lot of other data stories. We look into the user trends. Okay, how are people coming onto the Plantswala pages? So of course, there were paid campaigns, and then people are coming directly and organically searching. So when I saw that, okay, people are coming onto plants because they're coming onto the homepage, and from they were going to the plants section last year, but this year people are not going. So we saw how the website looked like last year versus this year, and we realized that, okay, plants was always highlighted in the first fold of our homepage. But recently, because we are getting into many more categories, so we thought that, okay, anyways, plants are growing, so we started deprioritizing it. And therefore, plants as a category was not even visible in the front fold, first fold, and it was somewhere in the third or fourth fold of the homepage. So that was one of the reasons. The second reason was, over the time, we realized that, we have actually started getting into a lot of premium plants, and we started selling plants for 800, 900, or 1000 rupees also. And then in parallel, I went to all the competition websites. And one of the things that I realized is that on any other website, we were getting plants for 200, 300 rupees also, whereas everything on Ferns and Petals was around 900 rupees. So that means a very, very difference in costing, right? Maybe people are looking for indoor plants for their own self-consumption, and they are not ready to spend, say, as high as 900 rupees. And if I look at the historic trends also and the average transaction size, of course, plants has a less than 500 uh, average transaction size. So that means that is the second gap. The third is, in the meantime, we deactivated a lot of products, and whatever signs someone would have adopted, they started deactivating the low cost plants products, because the objective was to earn more from plants as a category. So they started selling high value products with higher margins, and they realized that, so that's why these premium products started coming in, and we started deactivating those low cost products. So I did all this analysis, and I shared that with the category head and the CEO and everyone else, that these are 3, 4 reasons. So one, definitely we need not compare with the last year. Let's compare with the last few quarters, because plants as a ecosystem, the searches are going down. The second is, then we started seeing that, okay, now bringing back some low cost products, plus promoting plants on the homepage in different sections and sending a few emailers. We started saying that week on week, we actually started getting into some positive growth over the weeks. And that is exactly how we sustained some growth into the plants as a category. And the last thing that we also did was, we started realizing that, okay, which city is from where people are searching for plants and they are ordering plants. Of course, the answer was clear also, that cities like Chandigarh, Bangalore, Mysore, which are more green, right, and eco-friendly cities, from there people were really ordering a lot. So we ran a special campaign for these kind of cities, where we started saying that, plants at a throwaway prices and things like that, because we wanted those kind of people to come back to FNP and then order. So all this led to some kind of a positive growth into the plants category, and that is exactly how some action was taken. So it was not about just giving the root cause. The thing was that very evening, me, CEO, category head, operations head, marketing head, we all sat down for 1 hour. We had this discussion. We went through the data collectively. We wrote a few hypotheses and then some action items. And that action started taking from that evening itself. And 2 days later, I started tracking the trends, and then I was I was updating everyone. Let's see, because of this decision, we are seeing some upward trends in the plant. So that means we are doing the right things. And then let's now that in the 2 3 days it's clear that we are getting right results. Let's start spending maybe more on this kind of a marketing and retaining plants as a category on the homepage, and keeping those low cost products live, because getting more sale is more important than earning higher margin. So let's at least do that. So this is how we took the call, and within a week's time we were able to reverse these trends and see the greener side of the plants. So that's all from my side. I am open to any questions if you may have, or if you want me to talk in detail about any other thing, or uh,
Thank you so much for participating. Let's see and let's discuss the answer with Rajat sir only. As you are the expert, you are a better person to answer. Sir, so firstly, we have got the answer data collection. 62% people have, is it correct, sir?
yeah, that is definitely correct. As I said in the beginning of this session, that what if you see a medical report? The medical report is actually nothing but a data collection, right? So until unless you get that data, you won't be able to do anything else. So data collection is the first step.
Yeah. And for second, the question is which of the following is not commonly used data visualization tool? Bar chart, scatter plot, histogram, SQL database. So 54 people, 54% have answered SQL. Is it
Yes,
correct?
SQL is the right answer. That is the name of a database. That's not a visualization type, whereas everything else is a visualization type.
Great. Congratulations for all the people who are answering it correct and also have tried it very well. So, which third question is which of the following is an example of descriptive analytics technique? And majorly, 46 people, 46% have answered summary statistics.
Yeah, that's right. So the summary statistics is the right answer for the descriptive analytics technique.
Yeah. Fourth question is which of the following is not potential data source for a business to analyze? And 54% have answered weather reports.
No, I think here the right answer is actually the employee resumes, because you
Mhm.
cannot analyze resumes as such. Weather reports are, in fact, you'll be surprised to hear that is exactly the thing which is analyzed the most these days. So
Yeah.
this is anyways a kind of a reporting.
Okay. So last one is what is the primary goal of predictive analytics? And 54% people have answered to make informed predictions about future outcomes. Is that correct?
That's right. That's perfect. Yeah, with the predictive analytics, you can actually predict the future.